In the theater of life, the strongest armor isn't made of steel, it's forged in the silent mastery of your emotions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this journey of transformation. Today, I stand before you not as someone who has never felt pain, but as someone who has learned to dance with it. In a world that constantly tests our strength, we're going to explore the profound art of emotional mastery, learning to act as if nothing hurts you. This isn't about becoming numb or denying your feelings. It's about developing such incredible inner strength that external circumstances no longer dictate your peace. It's about standing tall when the winds of adversity blow strongest. I want you to imagine for a moment, what would your life look like if you could navigate every challenge with unwavering composure? How would your relationships transform if you could respond rather than react? What mountains could you climb if emotional turbulence no longer held you back? Today's message isn't just about motivation, it's about a fundamental shift in how you experience life itself. So let's begin this exploration of one of life's most powerful skills, learning to act as if nothing hurts you. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." This is the essence of emotional sovereignty. Recognizing that while we cannot control what happens to us, we retain absolute authority over how we respond. Every day, we hand over the keys to our emotional kingdom to external forces, a harsh comment, a rejection, a disappointment. We surrender our peace to things beyond our control. But what if you reclaimed your throne? What if you decided that your tranquility is far too precious to be disturbed by external chaos? Emotional sovereignty doesn't happen overnight. It begins with awareness, catching yourself in that critical moment between stimulus and response. It's in that space, that sacred pause, where your power lies. When someone's words cut deep, recognize the automatic impulse to react and then consciously choose your response instead. The Japanese concept of fudoshin, immovable mind, teaches us that true strength comes not from never being knocked down, but from maintaining inner stillness even when the storms rage around you. Think of emotional sovereignty as developing an internal compass that always points to your true north, regardless of external conditions. Practice this sovereignty in small ways first. When traffic frustrates you, when technology fails you, when minor inconveniences arise, use these as training grounds. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you're strengthening the muscle of emotional self-governance. You're declaring to the universe that your peace is non-negotiable. Remember that emotional sovereignty isn't about suppression. It's about elevation, rising above the reflexive reactions that once controlled you. It's about recognizing that between every stimulus and response lies a choice, and in that choice lies your freedom. This is the beginning of acting as if nothing hurts you, not because you don't feel, but because you've mastered the art of feeling without being consumed. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. When we grip too tightly to outcomes, people, or expectations, we create the perfect conditions for pain. Resilience through detachment means loving completely while holding loosely, engaging fully with life without being devastated when it changes course. Consider the metaphor of the bamboo. In violent storms, rigid oak trees often break, while bamboo bends without breaking. Its flexibility, its willingness to yield without surrendering its essence, is its greatest strength. Similarly, emotional resilience comes not from rigidity but from adaptability. The Stoics practiced negative visualization, regularly contemplating the loss of what they cherished most. This wasn't to invite misfortune, but to diminish its power when it inevitably arrived. By mentally preparing for loss, they cultivated a deeper appreciation for the present while reducing the shock of change. Practice healthy detachment by recognizing the impermanence in all things. Your professional identity, your relationships, your possessions, all are temporary gifts rather than permanent fixtures. This perspective doesn't diminish their value. It enhances it by acknowledging their precious, fleeting nature. When disappointment strikes, ask yourself, what am I attached to here? What expectation am I unwilling to release? Often, our greatest suffering comes not from what happens, but from our resistance to what happens. By loosening your grip on how things should be, you create space for how things actually are. Detachment isn't about caring less, it's about suffering less. It's about maintaining your center regardless of external circumstances. The more you practice letting go of outcomes while remaining committed to your values, the more you'll discover that resilience isn't about avoiding storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain, as if the water doesn't touch you at all. Paradoxically, to act as if nothing hurts you requires first acknowledging everything that does. True strength isn't found in denying wounds, but in embracing them so completely that they transform from weaknesses into sources of power. As Hemingway said, "The world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places." The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold, treating breakage as part of the object's history rather than something to disguise. Similarly, your vulnerabilities, when acknowledged and integrated, become the golden seams that make you uniquely resilient. Many mistake invulnerability for strength, but the opposite is true. Those who never acknowledge pain build walls so high they become prisons. Those who learn to accept vulnerability discover that what they feared would break them actually becomes the foundation of their unshakable composure. When pain arrives, as it inevitably will, resist the urge to immediately distract, deny, or diminish it. Instead, practice turning toward it with curiosity rather than fear. Ask, "What is this sensation teaching me? What strength might it be building? How might this challenge be serving my growth?" Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your vulnerabilities, once accepted, become your greatest teachers. The rejection that once devastated you becomes a lesson in self-validation. The failure that once defined you becomes the catalyst for your most significant reinvention. This acceptance creates a profound shift. You still feel pain, but you no longer fear it. You recognize it as a natural, necessary part of the human experience, not a sign of weakness but an opportunity for transformation. When you fully embrace your vulnerability, you paradoxically become invincible. Not because nothing hurts you, but because you've learned that hurt itself can be alchemized into unshakable strength. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, famously wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." This space, this sacred pause, is where mastery over emotional reactivity begins. Reactions are automatic, instinctual, and often regrettable. Responses are intentional, aligned with your values, and constructive. The difference between the two is consciousness, the willingness to insert a moment of awareness before allowing emotion to translate into action. Consider the metaphor of an archer. A novice archer releases the arrow immediately upon feeling the tension of the bowstring. The master archer knows that the moment of greatest power comes not from immediate release but from that perfect pause, that controlled breath before mindful action. This mastery becomes particularly crucial in relationships. When someone's words trigger pain, the automatic reaction might be defensiveness, withdrawal, or counterattack. But what if instead you paused? What if you recognized the churning emotion without becoming it? This is how we protect our most valuable connections from our most volatile emotions. The Stoic philosopher Seneca advised, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." This applies to all emotional reactivity. Practice extending the time between feeling triggered and taking action. Start with 5 seconds, then 10, then 30. In that expanding space, you'll discover the freedom to choose wisdom over impulse. Remember that mastering response over reaction isn't about suppressing authentic emotion. It's about experiencing emotion fully while choosing its expression thoughtfully. It's recognizing that while you cannot always control what you feel, you retain absolute authority over what you do with those feelings. With practice, this space between stimulus and response becomes your greatest power. It allows you to act with such deliberate intention that even in moments of greatest challenge, you move through the world as if nothing hurts you. Not because you're numb, but because you've mastered the art of conscious response. In our hyper-connected world that rewards immediate expression and constant sharing, there is revolutionary power in learning to process your emotions privately before expressing them publicly. Silent processing is the discipline of giving yourself permission to feel everything while being selective about what you share. Eastern philosophies have long emphasized the wisdom of silence. The Tao Te Ching states, "Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know." There is profound strength in being the person who feels deeply but speaks deliberately, who processes internally before expressing externally. This isn't about unhealthy suppression. It's about discernment. It's recognizing that not every emotion deserves immediate amplification, that some feelings require private reflection before public expression, and that wisdom often emerges in the quiet space of personal contemplation. Practice the art of silent processing by creating rituals for emotional release that don't involve impulsive sharing. Journal your raw thoughts before speaking them. Move your body to process emotional energy. Sit in meditation with difficult feelings before deciding how to express them. These practices create the internal space where emotional mastery is born. Silent processing builds an unshakable inner confidence. When you know you can trust yourself to handle emotions privately before expressing them publicly, you develop a quiet power that others immediately recognize. You become the person who responds rather than reacts, who speaks with intention rather than impulse. Remember that silence itself is not the goal, wisdom is. Sometimes, after thoughtful processing, the right choice is indeed to express your truth boldly. But when that expression comes from a place of centeredness rather than reactivity, it carries an authority that reactive communication never will. The mastery of silent processing allows you to move through challenging situations with such composure that others wonder how nothing seems to disturb your peace. The secret they don't see is that you feel everything. You've simply learned to process privately before responding publicly, creating the appearance of unshakable strength. The ultimate mastery in learning to act as if nothing hurts you isn't about becoming impervious to pain. It's about becoming so skilled at transforming pain into purpose that suffering itself becomes a source of strength. As Nietzsche famously wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." History's most inspiring figures weren't those who never suffered. They were those who suffered profoundly and transformed that suffering into service. Nelson Mandela's 27 years in prison became the crucible that forged his compassionate leadership. Frida Kahlo's physical agony became the source of her revolutionary art. Viktor Frankl's concentration camp experience became the foundation for an entire school of psychotherapy. This alchemical transformation begins with a simple but profound question: how might this pain be serving me? What purpose might it eventually fulfill? This isn't toxic positivity or denying suffering's reality. It's recognizing that meaning can be extracted from even our darkest moments. Practice this transformation by looking back at previous challenges you've overcome. How did they shape you? What strengths did they build? What perspective did they provide? Then, when new pain arrives, remember that you stand in the middle of a story still being written. The meaning of this chapter hasn't yet revealed itself. The Stoics practiced amor fati, the love of fate. This doesn't mean passively accepting suffering. It means actively embracing every experience as necessary for your evolution. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When you learn to transform pain into purpose, you develop a relationship with suffering unlike anything others understand. Pain doesn't disappear, but it becomes fuel rather than fire. It becomes the raw material from which you craft your greatest contributions. This transformation creates a form of invincibility not because you feel less, but because every feeling, even the most painful, serves your highest purpose. As we conclude our time together, remember that learning to act as if nothing hurts you isn't about emotional suppression, it's about emotional mastery. It's not about feeling less, it's about suffering less. It's not about becoming cold, it's about becoming composed. The journey we've explored today, from emotional sovereignty to resilience through detachment, from vulnerability acceptance to mastering response over reaction, from silent processing to transforming pain into purpose, this isn't just a path to personal strength. It's a revolution in how you experience life itself. Remember that this mastery is not achieved in a day. It's cultivated through consistent practice, through falling and rising, through feeling the full spectrum of human emotion while refusing to be defined by it. It's developed in life's small moments, when you choose calm over chaos, response over reaction, purpose over pain, long before it's tested in life's great challenges. As you leave here today, I challenge you to begin this practice. Start with the small hurts, the minor frustrations, the everyday disappointments. Each time you choose composure over chaos, you strengthen the muscle of emotional mastery. Each time you transform pain into purpose, you rewrite your relationship with suffering itself. In a world that's often harsh, your greatest power isn't avoiding pain, it's transforming how you relate to it. When you master this art, you'll move through life with a presence so powerful that others will wonder how nothing seems to touch you. They won't see the inner work, the silent processing, the purposeful transformation happening beneath the surface. They'll just witness the result, a human being who has learned to dance with life's difficulties rather than being devastated by them. Thank you for allowing me to share this journey with you today. May you find not just motivation in these words, but transformation. May you discover that your greatest power lies not in never being hurt, but in what you choose to do with that hurt. May you learn to stand so firmly in your emotional mastery that you move through the world as if nothing hurts you. Not because you feel less, but because you've learned to transform feeling into unshakable strength. Thank you.